actually married to her own sister. And I told her, both of them, never to step in feast hall. Never. I went over to his house and I called them both. You guys aren't allowed. Feast hall. Tell you guys separate and you'll be fine. But I put my foot down on my brother. What I'd like to see is there, when your cats and chiefs should take their names back. They don't want to separate. Actually take their names away. It's sometimes people are cats and they don't want to miss. They still come to the feast. I had to literally tell my brother we're supposed to leave at our feast. Cannot be together and holding hands, hugging each other's. That's embarrassing. So, to me, it's so sad to see about people dancing. It's all over. Different religions. They don't care. They walk across all the family members. Age pretty. It's so sad to see. Me, I'm still embarrassed, but I still carry on. I have to do. I already told them I didn't want them around anymore. They wanted names. My brother wanted a name. And I said, no. And he said, how come? I said, you're Patsy. That's your own sister. Same tribe, but different house. So I can't give them a name. So, I have a rude, my parents did this then a long time ago. They were doing this catching. My parents and the other parents separated. Put their ears together and walked them away. And after both parents passed away, that's when they came together again. And I reminded them that. Remember what our parents did to you guys? Oh, they're both gone now. Some people don't care. Being the cats. Anyways, it's tough to say. It hurts. Your own family member acting. Like all across it, abandoned. And whether it's abandoned to your feast, it's a very strict rule. Or yet in Jesus. head on to this, but it is taboo. But, you know, when you had them and you have a child, and who's going to be the father can? Who's going to look after the baby? Well, there's so many babies. Who's going to be the father can when you're a cat? Well, that's where we get stuck. You know, we don't know. And then we have to use another clan to do something. And that's why I told my brother, if you have a child, there'll be no other clan. So that's why we gotta explain to the generation that's coming behind us. And fancy who's gonna be the father clan. Can't be your family. Same person. I don't know if you guys heard a story about how we theater became. There's a story behind that. We theater. His sister and a brother grew up together. As they get older, they started sneaking away into the forest. And the chief realized this, so he sent, say, called a spy or a messenger to check on his sister and her brother. One day, the messenger came back to the chief and they were hugging and kissing, and so when they brought them back to the village, the chief said, build a platform. Sent out guys to collect some feathers and those saps in a tree, come, and melted them, poured gum tree on, and threw feathers in there. People laughed at them, they mocked them, and laughed at them. You know, through the Tuesday night, all of a sudden they heard thunder. Everybody got up, woke up, and platform here, the two brothers and sisters became one as a thunder. And that's marriage, it's a taboo. You can turn into anything you won't listen. That's how we take became. We see that. We take. You know, that's what I was scared of. You know, cats and taboo. Something will happen. There's a couple. Something can happen. If you have a child, or a child becomes disabled, a taboo. Coming with cats, you have a child, and you have to just give child something might go wrong with your family. Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets lost. That's what I think about cats. I have a, history of it. And I have a few family cats. Married them to different villages, seeing, try, do they think it's okay? It's not. We should talk about this in the feast hall when we return thanks to the horses. We say, that's why we call it our parliament building. We don't talk about anything anymore, or cats or something. We just return thanks to the horse. Thank you for food, thank you for gifts, week, and that's it. And the names. Thank you. Now talk about anything else. Our history, our look, our outlook. We don't say that anymore. Back in the day, a feast lasts till 5 in the morning, as they talk about serious things, like we're doing here. That's how we learn from our yet and seeds. So we gotta start putting it out in feast hall. That's where everybody is allowed to speak. It's like you're holding a talking stick. And nobody can interfere with you speaking until you're done. Because once we give you the mic, that's your talking stick. Now we don't speak for an hour, we only speak for 5 minutes. That's it. My wife always said, I better keep quiet before I get beat.
I just wanted to share just a little bit what happened to me at a feast. This chief asked me, how come you're using Hanamuch as your father clan? You're using Hyjums as your father clan. I said, well, Lohan should have been my father clan, but my mom and dad were cats, I said. So I couldn't use Lohan because he's a frog and I'm a frog. So I used my father clan, I used Hyjums. Like Calvin explained that Hyjums is one of our guests and Hanamuch is one of our guests in Kitikukla. So I'm using Hanamuch if I die. My sister Louise is using Hyjums if she dies. I haven't asked Anna yet. There's only 3 of us left of my mom and dad's kids. But we've had a rough life. when we were going to school, kids were coming behind us and saying, "Pats, pats, pats," to my sister and I, and she would cry. And it's a rough life, but it wasn't us that was pats, it was my mom and dad. They should have been with them, not us. You know. But just to explain a little bit about who's going to be Father Can if you're pats. Well, that's what we decided when Mom was still alive, that I would go with Hannah, she said, and Winnie would go with Hygens, and Anna probably go with Hannah as our grandfather.
Sorry.
That's it.
Okay. Before I go to Calvin, I think Len's had his hand up for a little bit, and then we'll go to Calvin next.
It's good discussion about intermarriage and the clans. Remember my grandmother, Maggie Johnson, used to always lecture us or tell us which people to be affiliated when you're in the teenage years. And, when you want, time comes for you, you should intermarry with people in Gitnia, but don't class. And a lot of that was prevention. And now that when you see something, you should caution, who are they? Are they your relatives? And I know my niece, Sheila, her dad used to check out everybody he was with and dismiss some of them. And I think if we don't do those things, ACTS is really going to destroy the Kickstand system. It's beginning to do that. And I see the disputes they had in the eastern communities in the last 2 or 3 years. The severe problem in that peace hall was because intermarries and pacts, the chief took in his own daughter, and it continued. Oh, I'm going to take the big name now. And that created a severe problem. It delayed, and it's a good discussion to have that here, and the serious implication that has on our Kickstand system. And it goes back to prevention. And to see people in our communities now walking the peace hall, and they, oh, here those two come. And I see that and I say, gee, that's Lady Anne, Lady Hogarth. Even my own family members are like that. Be involved in taking somebody back. That's an awful feeling. And to perform something, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to. It looks like I'm confirming that it's okay and we can correct it. I feel terrible. It's my own family, but I just want to add to the conversation, and it's good. We should deal with people that are bats, and what do we do with them in the feast hall? We can't just let them walk around and it's okay. It's not okay. The most severe violation of our youth. And how do we, there's some situations that we have now, but how do we deal with that going forward? I'm going to say what Vice Minister.
Thank you, Len. Cats can destroy our Kickstand culture. It's pretty powerful words, and it's very true.
It's a very strict law to break, very strict. because the families have different last names, they could not see the lineage in the families. The law around cats, you're banished from the territory. You're not allowed to be in there. You and your man or you and your woman have to leave. You're escorted off the territory. And they stand guards over there. They don't allow you to come back. They tell you to get out of here. You're not allowed. Nobody has any allowance to have pity on you. You broke the supreme law of the Gitsen Nation. It's very strict. There was a chief or a person within the Lachskik of Kitungach. A man fell in love with his sister's daughter, and they would not separate. And they were banished from the territory. Get out of here. You're stubborn enough to break the law, you go and be stubborn enough to suffer out there. It's very strict. I talked to one of the members of the Lachskik not too long ago, and I told him, don't you go back to that man. It's called cats when you go back to that. You're breaking the law. Something happened, picked up the telephone, said, come pick me up. And now they're married. I told him, you're not allowed on my table anymore. You get off my table. You broke the law. Everybody else got after me for telling her not to come on my table. There are some that don't understand the law of cats. They just go with the flow when it comes to cats. It's tough to be the only one that knows the law. Everybody looks at you as a bad person. That's how they view you. You're bad. But you break the law. The law is broken. There are some others that broke the law. They went all over it. They go all over the place. They have no place to settle in when they found out there were cats. That's how strong that law is. And today it's just a thing of the past. No more law, no more strict law to enforce it. And that's where we're losing a lot of our members to cats. And it's not funny. It's not an easy thing to brush off. And it's not easy to keep them out, but they have to stay away. Not allowed in the feast hall, not allowed in the fishing hall or the hunting grounds, the trap line, the mountains. They're not allowed in any place. That's how strict the law is. So this is what I hear from my dad when he was alive, about the law around cats. Thank you.
Thank you. That's some of the most I've heard on the subject of cats. I really want to thank everybody for talking about it. It's really not easy. It's painful and it hurts. I hear that all the time, and I think to me what really hurts the most is gotta be that they really don't care. They know the rules, they know the ayuk, and still it happens. That's gotta hurt a lot. And also knowing that these things should happen because of it, and it's hard to maybe implement something like that, which, brings around the anger and the hurt. So I really do hope we can get a handle on this moving forward, bring that level of respect to every situation.
One more. You're not allowed to adopt any one of those cats people in your house. You're not allowed. They broke the law. The law calls it a felony. You broke the law. You can't be justified anyway, not by adoption. Please.
Thank you. There's only a few more questions left. We're doing really, really well. Everything's coming out that we want. So we'll just keep plugging at her. We got a couple more questions here. The next questions kind of go together, 14 and 15. The question is, please share as many as you can on Gwelx. Probably saying that really wrong. Gwelx. There are so many out there. What are some that are rarely used today? So share as many as you can, and what are some that are used today? You hear that Jeopardy tune?
Gwelx add. Gwelx. Gwelx, dan moet je ga je met z'n mannen gewoon graag wees. Gwelx. They did nog niet, but they turned around, they wrapped the body with a blanket. What does it do? Gwelx was Gwelx. The law is the law. It's sin law. If we can't follow our law, then how are we going to convince them that Kitsen has the law? One of the things that we did earlier this year, I think I'm already gone by, February, we did the rally in Smithers. Because one of the chiefs from the Wet'suwet'en was going to be put in jail for 6 months for defending the territory. And the judge looked at it. And there's one thing that he could not go beyond is the law of the Kitsen and the Wet'suwet'en. So they took this guy and put him under house arrest and not gone to prison because of the Kitsen and the Wet'suwet'en law. And that's Adam Gannon. Adam Gannon is a big chief of Morristown. So the judge couldn't go beyond the Kitsen law. And if we wreck the law, then how can we convince the white folks that the Kitsen has the law? And we have ads is at West, and we need to really approach the ads people and tell them that you have to consider the Kitsen law. And what happens to ads? They get banished from the territory. You're not allowed to go and get your fish in this fishing hole. Not allowed to trap. Not allowed to hunt. Nothing. You're allowed nothing. However, when you listen to us, said, "Hey, when that is," however, they didn't know. There's some really strict law that is followed on the woman when they are totally disobedient. I wouldn't say what it is, but it's very gory, really gory. There's just the one that I know they do, and I don't know who they had done it to, but they're tied to a raft and they're sent down the Skinny River as people. So this is really something that this group is starting. Bringing out the laws of the Gitsen. And this is tremendous. It's something that I hope the future generation will look at and they will live according to the Gitsen law. I mean,
Thank you. Any additions in there? Anybody online have any additions to the WELC, and maybe an example of some that are rarely used today? I heard Calvin mention the females with baby, covering up baby with a blanket so that they can, if I got that right, so that they can like maybe observe the casket or do certain things that they wouldn't be allowed to otherwise. So they're trying to like bend the rules a little bit so that they can, right?
They water down the rule of a pregnant woman not having to get the privilege of looking into the coffin. So they put a blanket around. They're going through the eyes, not through the blanket, through the eyes. You see, what you see is how the baby will become. It's what is called Mars. Mars. One example in my family, one of our little sister, mother was walking. We had no street lights then. My brother frightened my mother while she was carrying a child. And when the baby was born, right away, as soon as they took her out of the blanket, her legs would open like that, just like the frog's legs would look like. And this child didn't last long, maybe about a few months, and she passed away. I babysat for her in the cannery called Inverness, in between Portet, or in between North Pacific and Sunnyside, Inverness Cannery. Portet.
And then,
Okay, that's where I babysat. And she didn't last long, and she passed away. That is Mars. Whatever the mother sees is what happens to the baby. That's why they're not allowed to look into the coffin of a deceased person.
There's a hand raised, Wanda.
Wel, dit is een weekend. Dit is een gast. Thank you to all the syndicate for sharing all of your wisdom with us. Kijk, I'm glad met this denim get, Somali denim get when Peter gewoon wil stiefkinderen wife is death. We had asked Somali denim get why there are so many wife around death. And he said one of the main ones was that if we continue on our celebrations, our weddings, just moving them to a different community, or just ignoring the fact that there is a death in the community. And death is around, it's looming around, it's there. And if it sees that you're happy, it'll continue to come back. That's a big way. And the one that I learned from my mother, I've learned so much from my mom, Achti Gwelx, the importance of the father clan, the Gwelx role during a death. I think, I can't remember which Margaret said it today, that there's a strict rule around the family, the women, that not touching their own dead, but they're continuing to do it. They'll wrap their own dead in a blanket, but there's a reason for our Alulach, the father clan, to do that, because death is still looming nearby. And the fact when a baby, a young child or a baby, Samagas Salom told us this one, that their spirits are still pure and vulnerable, because they've just arrived into the physical world from the spiritual world, and they still remember where they came from, their most recent life, because we're all reincarnated. And the Lulak can take them because they're still vulnerable, and this is why we can't have pregnant women in the same building as a casket, not just in the same room. We can't have children in the same building as a casket, not just in the same room, or babies, because the Lulak can take them. And this, another hawaiian that I was taught was not to stare an elder in the face. And Samagit Salom Hivak explained the same thing, that an elder, their spirits are becoming pure again. They're getting ready to go back into the spirit world. And that's a very, very powerful place to be. And it's hawaiian to stare an elder in the face. And as a show of respect, when listening to elders, we look down, and it's misunderstood by Kamsiwa or young people that it means that we have a low self-esteem, but no, it's a sign of respect, and that you're really listening and learning what the Wihast, the elder, is saying. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Thank you, Wanda. Pretty sure I saw Margot's hand up. Did you change your mind, Margot? Or do you want to say something? I do want to mention that, what Wanda was saying about still having events, moving it to different villages or whatever is very big. Asking the family if it's alright, or vice versa, the family says it's okay even without being asked. One example for myself, being a soccer coach, I've taken my team out of tournaments before because of deaths and other things, but I've also been on the other hand where the family approaches you and asks you to play. We would like you to continue playing in the next tournament, play for our fallen loved one. So I'm not sure what level of, we probably should have still said no, but how do you say no and still feel alright with, respecting wishes or whatnot? I think that's something I gotta, work on myself, and, it's a prime example of a modern, love.
It was, actually, I know to see, we have wedding dances, we have soccer, and we also have bingo. Hey, bingo. Like what you said, they asked the family if it's okay to have all this. When the family loses a family member, their mind is not all there. Right away they say, yes, go ahead. The next day, oh, why? Maybe that has happened. This one, there's a death. There's a lot of disrespect from all organizations that they're going to obey our laws. Even if, like what you said, you could go on with you and say, but out of respect, you still should have said, no, I can't. And I'll use, when my brother passed away, we had a wedding. When my brother passed away the same day as the wedding. They had everything all prepared for the wedding. Brother passed away. One of the family members came down to still go ahead with it. My mom said, yes, Frederick. Go ahead. And I said, what are you doing, Mom? And he lost her brother. I said, move it after everything was done. Mom, yeah, I don't really know Mom very well, but knowing her, she allowed me. When there's a death in our, family, my parents right away close to cover the mirrors. Well, maybe I, again, when really thought looking in the mirror, you might see that person's face. It's it is a very strict rule. But, it's not like you. Like you guys say, when a pregnant woman goes, sees a body, darkness, through her eyes, see the baby will remember. It's very important just you don't allow pregnant women coming all or in the house. You know, you need to say that. Everything that we do, feast, ransom, everything. So, you know, Calvin said, that's joy. We need to start speaking of, use our voice in the feast home. Take a beat.
Thank you. Dorinda?
You know, there's lots of things that's at work. I was just remembering Mom and Dad's comment all the time. When somebody, if you're pregnant, you don't go out hunting and watch while your spouse is getting the moves or whatever they get. Moss, that's another one that I heard Calvin said, moss, because the baby will be acting or something like that. Like, I was thinking of another one that's somebody was telling us about a baby that was born with whips in the fingers. That was moss. And that's what for that pregnant woman to watch all the time. And they you know, it's what to watch like that. And it's just a part of it. It's there's so many. If I would have had a list, of course I left it at home all the time, and I never read all of these things from the workplace. There'd be a big list of everything like that for at work. But that's only just one part that I remember. What they were saying, same with when a young woman is just becoming a woman, you know, years ago if you're not, if you're going out, you kind of cover your face with, or be covered with a kerchief so you don't look up on the mountains and wild game or anything, you know, it's quite and that goes on for a year, so it's like there's so many things that you can elaborate on that way.
Okay. Glenn?
Was that me?
Yeah. That's for you.
No, was that me that made all that noise?
Somebody having coffee.
No, just thinking about how life and remember helping out with running tournaments sometimes at listening to my grandmother and others, and when there's death, whether it be in a community or a nearby community, they would always say, "Ni odds ando death when any in Boston, me edo books." That's what in English, the death will think that you don't care, that will come around again. Why you need to be still, and I think that some of these things in Hawaii, whether it be playing with fish or different things, there's always a learning lesson for our people, especially our children, why it's so wet. And I think it's important to continue to talk about the learning part of it as well, as to why. But in any event, I really want to thank all of you. I say this to me yet, and see when I'm upset on when those someday call when I thought that we get the send of the holidays of days and gas when I is the go as a chat the litigate with Marty the city was his ocean Erodel of the holiday and this is when the Willem van Henny Stammer and the hot and the listen. The Edward my backbone and the many other Washington and there was this the Bulch yeah. Yeah, and Edward yeah was relaxed and all of the in the cities. Naar de reacties en ellende van de christen die dat thuis op de voor de woorden aan mij opzet van I just want to say that my learning on taboo or how people say that is that there's always a lesson to be learned along with saying it's a whether it be playing with fish or different things and especially with death in the community, that they would say that in our own language that when there's death you should be quiet, be still, so continue with events or whatever, whether it be in your community or your neighboring communities, and be respectful. And because if you don't obey that, then death will continue. It'll return. And that's in our own Amalia, and that really means a lot to hear that. But I really want to thank the organizers for tonight. We have an opportunity to discuss our Ayuk and our way of life as Gwelx and people, although we're from the gates. And just, sometimes when I think about being in the feast hall and I look around and see how things are going, and that's a little different. Why are they copying the Gigantic and what they're doing? And that's the Gigantic way, and try and really protect what we learned from our grandparents, our parents, and don't change it. If we don't have a table like this and have a conversation about it, then it'll continue to go sideways, and it won't be long, it'll be like this in the sand that just our neighbors to the west and just dance around and have a blanket. And doesn't mean anything. Not very nice to say things like that, but if we don't do it, that's what we will see in a very short time frame. Or some Aliyah as well, I was saying that earlier, I see 90% of what we do in Wilpilligate is all English. And it's sad, and remember attending Hallows Feast not too long ago on the extent of English. And just thought about that and how do we protect the language, and with the language it really absorbed our system. I was thinking about it tonight, that talking about the yoke, and we, as we're preparing for our case similar to what Dogma and before it was, we did a report on Ayo. And there's people like Solomon and Stanley and Mary McKenzie and big chiefs that talked about Ayuk and our way and captured that and compared it to Amsiwa Ayuk and Amsiwa's system and what it entailed, and they looked at ours, and ours is just as good or better. So just want to thank you all, and for the invite, and I gotta go catch somebody else, so I'll sign up now, and I should listen to me get consumer, I'm interested.
Thank you, Glenn. Lots of passion behind that question. Yeah. I think we can have a whole couple of feasts talking about some of these topics, and we would last till 5 in the morning, or maybe a couple of days or something. Maybe we need something like that. With that being said, it's a good segue to our second to last question. We're almost done. You guys are doing really good. So this could be pretty quick, but please list all types of our Gitsan feasts. Go ahead, Gary.
We have a lot of feasts. Most of them aren't used. All we do is the funeral feast, smoke feast, headstone feast, and then that's it. But we have on a book of where we wish to work daily. I go down and feast hall. There's a totem pole raising feast. And also there's a headstone feast. We also have a welcome feast. I don't know what that is all about, but we have a welcome feast. Then we have another celebration of a totem pole feast after spirit. And we have a retirement feast. And a chief is too old to carry on, so he retires. We also have a divorce feast. We actually do have a divorce feast. But we don't use that. We also have a wedding feast. Now they hardly call it. We do have a wedding feast that involves all the clans. A really stinking feast. And we singing feast. Reinstatement feast. That's we came to kids and citizens who have disobeyed kids and law. We have a first game feast. My young man kills his first moose and has a feast with all that meal. We have a welcome feast to celebrate a birth of a child. It's a feast for the baby to show off. We have graduation feast. It's to celebrate recent achievement, whether academic or spiritual. We have cleansing feast. And it's to restore the spirits after serious accident. And a coming out feast. It's to mark transition from teenager to adult years. Those are the ones that we don't use now. We only use funerals and headstone. That's why they're quite a lot. And, the feasting system is just like a beef which the examination carries out active and transition and affect the daily lives of the host members. With host feast can be the head chief, the house, main chief, the house, or members of the house. That's to finish off all the feasts. They manage us and we always have a meeting before the body comes home. Or anything that we need to put off the front row or headstone. We always have to have a meeting. Some people, some of the house members may disagree or approve the way the schedule is on the feast runs. We also have, when the chief dies, or his feast, where Frank County chief, and they transfer everything chief owns, like the territory, the fishing hole, the hunting grounds, fence line, passes on to the next chief. A lot of things we don't do anymore. There's a different chief name, does it? We don't mention anything about numbers, where we see a lot of people fight over prison walls. And, it's the image, because they own next to this in the freestyle. Once the name passes on to the chiefs, we need to start that, our plan, we know. The other people, our guests, we know, that new chief owns that territory. It's a lot of things that we don't use in the police department anymore. We tend to forget and push aside. It's too long, it's too much work. There's a lot of ceremonies come to peace. People watch us in our ceremonies. When we lose somebody, we forget to use our blankets or for life. We don't sing or hymn holy anymore for that person. I see it's done with the chiefs and matriarchs, but which is why they don't use it. They don't use the blanket. They don't live in court. They just go right to the grave. They don't spread their blanket for that person across the border. That's what we don't do anymore. This stuff that I just mentioned.
Maybe that's why there's never any like 2 or 3 day feasts. It's like you said earlier, sometimes you ask someone or you tell someone that they have to do a cleansing before the feast starts. Maybe back in the day it was a whole feast, a cleansing feast, before the regular feast the next day or something like that. It makes a lot more sense with individualized or concentrated feasts, right? That brings us to our last question. 17 questions. You guys are champs. What does Dag Wensen mean?
I think we just wait from 6 o'clock. We there waiting all night until we need to use the bathroom. That means sit tight and not hurry to leave. Sit tight and pay attention some more. Don't fall asleep. That one, so we get. Heel kunt is kwaad, zo kijk. Mijn lelijke. Dat one. En hij die naar hem kent. Neem dit om wat niet goed met onder de wagen. Toen je raden zijn niet toch. Toen de derde smal onder het lelijke. Now look at Wednesday, you see all the tables full when the feast is done. Today, I guess they don't want to be there Wednesday, they take off and leave before the feast is over. Please.
Any further meaning?
Said it all.
Since 6 o'clock, eh?
6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Really good job for everybody involved today. Like I said earlier, very honored to be involved in this. much. And I think I'm just gonna open it up for final comments. Maybe a quick roundtable if you have anything to say, you're fully welcome.
Adam just said
Okay, Loretta's gonna go last again,
that.
so maybe we'll start on this side. Calvin, have anything else to add? Final comments?
Smiget kan siguen hada. Kan finish the Gwelx, you can so access. Non fari long. So kan subdid so willen, misschien beter so. Je mag someone kunnen toch ajocht en heer. Nee, April. Ajocht ik zijn. Nee, April don't have question. Nee, April, Louise. Nee, April, Casper say, all of a sudden you just burst out. Casper say, nee, April, sinds de ochtend zei. Aan Wilson. Met zijn paardenvennis door het haar jongens niet. Toen een heks mocht ze vent naar Jezus. Wat naar Jezus in het goede beleid voor de keerpaar zich gedaan. Neem dit vandaag niet goed wordt gehoord. Neem dit vandaag niet goed wordt smal is. Nee, neem dit vandaag niet goed wordt zieken en af. Neem dit vandaag niet goed wordt verwoord. Met one party lang. Goed ik? Nu zei het goed. Ze was het niet. En ze vent wil een dag in jou. Dat heeft gedaan. Gericht in het water. Gericht in het oeistaaf wordt ook niet naar gelijk geworden. Gericht in jou. Waarom schade je hem? Och, dit kind dit niet wordt niet goed. We hebben hem ook geleid, we zeggen, geleid. I put names on those who know things. Finally, somebody talked to this lioness. So I come out and I share what I know. Thank you.
Forgot my microphone.
Allemaal maar ze weer daarna van koortjes. Ook aan het oor. Dat ze weer. Dat dat dan. Wat ik hoe. Canada. Nothing. Nie willen nog jullie. Ja, fijn. Dat hoor ik niet. Massen. Daar heel zijn eigen wordt lelijk. Er is elementen maar er is echt ton. Er is dat nieuw wordt lelijk. Het heel daar op conserven. Hij met zijn fiets, met zijn geleid, hij is ja. Ja, dat is probeer. En net daar, dat wordt, ben ik gewoon, toen zei het ik heb het goed. back in Quebec on last meeting. Skip plan. She got it for BQ tomorrow. He agree. He think about it. When probably his gets and he's all perfectly sick. He Darcy's so Roy somebody somebody his body he detects they ready and measure he take quick and head young body when I wake up Maddie and I told it was screen June. It's sort of subsent. You're together arts. Hey, I'm a water sort of subsent. Title salute to that on screen. Candy it is instead of gas arts. So I'm calling for my hours. Twice is severe.
We soon get you man up. Who is this? Dan in Bushwick, Jochlegel. Ik wil de zee sinds jeden. Ik wil zo lijken. Kom ik dit lijken, kleine. Zo lijken, weet ik. Heel. Dan moet je lijken, wordt het sinds jeden. Het heel kennis te weer. Je pak gewoon de bloeioog. En die pak gewoon een bloeioog heel. In die allemaal. Dus dan wordt gewoon. En die wordt heel. Zie ik kern, zie ik kort, eindigen. Als iets gegeven mag je er ook niet. De zeeuwer aan mijn achtergrond. Als je wel niet missen bent. Dan wil je dank je, dank je.
Toch de helemaal. Simon, Gwelx. En vooral zelf en het is dezelfde achter was dezelfde is het gasket zelfs and dacht ik nou you guys talking about us and if we're talking about the system that they chose to live. I'm really afraid when they start to see that picture or whatever's coming down, I didn't know what I was getting into today. But I asked Larry to give me a ride, because I can't drive. It's really tough to get around. I have a car, but I can't drive. I usually get Calvin to drive when I go to Port Edward, when my wife was working. But thanks, James. You know, I picked on you earlier in the day today, because I know where you're from. And I know your family down the coast. They're nice people. And Bill Gates and them, they're very nice people. Like, they're good friends of mine. Pretty well all of Pursuit's good friends of mine. I get along with people, so I'm bugging James today, and he said he was been in Getting, and he still says he's from Port Simpson. And that's one thing that I was taught when we were doing the homework. He says, if we have to go to court on Del Homo, advocates said, he hired me, Erica, Bambi, Kate, and Jack Sebastian. We're doing eligibility and enrollment. So he would say, "Nad was nothing. Nad wasn't Jason." Those are the people that are gonna vote, that are consent. So you gotta know where you're from. Yeah, I know a lot of you are living in Giziguk, a lot of you are living in Gimlach and Gimiao. But find out where you're from. It's the most important thing you have to do in your lifetime. Find out where you're from. You're just a band member here. You're a band member in Gimlach, you're a band member in Giziguk or Hazelton. But you have a chief somewhere. You have territory somewhere. You have to try and find out where you're from. As soon you get of consent. And other nations, it's really important that you find out where you're from. Dus, alles is it. And I had steps. I'm very thankful for the food and whatever. James, you did a good job. And the ladies that are running the programs there. Thank you very much. And whoever shot in, I hope the good Lord give you mercy, travel in mercy, and God bless you all. Thank you. Keep hiding it all.
Very soon get there. See the man up. And God, a big banquet. Oxford, yeah. The Matthias, James, Jackie, Raven, and Morgan. Thank you guys for being here. And we'll ask some elegant on Tuesdays. The Amangoch Extrazo get maybe 85 of the tax 50 the will language group. Anyway, well, let's go about that. We started our year if more sheep come years after.
Well done, that's best.
Stanley, ang kaliwan, kaya ako yung ongoing learning. Every time there's something going on, we learn something new. A lot of the teaching sometimes comes to your mind, what your mom and dad teach you, and when that happens, you remember it. And this one, I hope that a lot of youth will look it up and learn more on it. I see the posting once, I think it was the second one that I was watching. And they have good sessions. I think you guys all again. I really appreciate how many showed up and answered all the questions and everything else that come along with elections tonight.
We'll hear from Loretta, closing remarks, and then prayer from Calvin, I guess, to finish off.
Computer, Reagan, Morgan, and Julia, audio recording, and Jimmy, and photo Renata, and Gwelx is civil access. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming, for honoring our invitation, our Samantha group invitation to this much needed learning for those coming behind us. And there was a couple of other questions, huge questions. And I know we wouldn't have been able to cover it tonight. And I thought to myself, I don't think we should do it here because it needs another day, another 2 days, 3 days on its own. And those questions are the seating in the feast hall, or traditional names protocol. And when we adopt someone in our group, these are 3 huge topics on their own. So I was stuck on that for a while. We did have these on there at first, on the paper. And I phoned Dorinda. Audrey's at work. Ruth, she's busy. And I'm so thankful Dorinda they have to be on their own, like another session. Such a huge relief when she said that. Because, so, this brings me now to, tomorrow. It's like a follow-up from our 3 sessions here. Tomorrow we're doing learning highlight and it's 5 p.m. here. And I haven't had a chance to ask my brother if he can join us tomorrow. If he's busy, that's okay. We will try and work something out, and then that would be the learning highlight and it's here tomorrow at 5. And then Saturday, October 19th would be the learning feast. Gwelx, Gwelx, highlight and it's something I just remembered too was another main purpose to why we're doing all of this is to learn the language. Our youth, all our Gitsen that are eager to learn our ways, how we were raised. Because there are times I saw our experts here, they have to think for a while, like trying to explain stuff in English. That's hard to do. I've heard of it before. It's hard for our elders, and I'm thankful Semitic was able to do some of his explanations, his sharings in Somalia. And so, yeah, that is another main purpose for all this, is to encourage our people to learn the language.
Sound that one, come on.
If you guys ever had any other suggestions, ideas, feel free to call me here at work. And I really appreciate Jimmy. He's been doing really good with our sharing, and it sparks an interest with Jimmy, and so now he wants to work with me in some certain activities that we can do together in maybe cost share and stuff like that, learning, because there's way too much to learn. Yeah, so, I've seen some.
Before I say a word of prayer, I'd just like to acknowledge the young fellers. William Smith always said, young fellers. Morgan and Raven and Jackie. I'm thinking about you writing out what you have done as the land guardian. And I will never stop. It'll be a big song. Kidyaw Independent School has invited me to do a song in the en lang denk ik zijn maar als een nieuwe terug is gesmogen. S'avonds gaat het nu het hard wordt het af en op is gezien. Zijn jealous van het goed en op is gezien. De man gaat dat het door en op is gezien. In de dag allicht van huis op het geilongses. Ze zijn zo'n waarde ze niet in verlaat voor de dag en op. Wanneer je ziet van moeders van die ouders gewoon. Hoe ik. En waarom is er niet een andere technology? De moeilijk in de dag wel je ze niet. Ga dat geeft. Ouders niet. Morgen genomen allicht van heim. Morgen genomen gejocht van heim. In het Ajax, morgen genomen, joch geeft van de rils. Ik ben die kunst niet. Gebeest het niet en gelijk voor de dag van joch. De dag nee, ze zegt van hier, dat het Ajax niet. Voor is het de man gehouden. Es niet moet dat het is gesmogen. Nee, die moet storen. Ze best op dat het nee, misschien de bespreking en hij met die girls nou. En waar we gaan, dit wordt door nacht gewoon een zachtje. Helemaal goed kan je zetten, maar. Ja.
Amen. Amen.